What's up, everybody? This is Candy.
And this is B, and this is a Trendkill Quickie.
Once again, a 5 to 10 minute rock show, hosted by us.
We should just start saying 10 minutes. But today we actually want to talk a little bit about the separation of Daft Punk.
R.I.P. Daft Punk.
Daft Punk, the world's favorite pair of French robots, have officially called it quits after almost 3 decades on February 22nd of this year, just a couple days ago. They've been integrating electronic dance music, EDM, into the mainstream and doing things that have never been done before. So it's been a pretty big loss losing such an innovative group.
Daft Punk consisting of just two guys. Their real names are Thomas Bangalter and Guy Manuel de Homem Cristo. They actually met in Paris, France in secondary school and were part of a rock band initially together. The name of that rock band was Darlin. And then after just being in the Paris rave scene, just kind of fell in love with the idea of EDM and decided, we're going to spin off, we're going to do our own EDM thing. And obviously it's worked out pretty well for them.
I would say so. And interestingly enough, their name, Daft Punk, comes from a review of their first band, Darlin. A critic actually called it Daft Punky Thrash, which actually sounds kind of cool.
It does, actually.
We should try to find Darlin and listen to them. I'm curious. But that's where they got their band name from, with Daft Punk. They made music with samplers and a Roland TR-909 in Bangalter's bedroom.
Everybody knows this, but like these two guys, they've rarely ever been seen without their helmets on.
Yeah.
They're known for these helmets that they've worn for 28 years, and I think they've only been seen maybe a handful of times or less without them. So nobody even really knows who these people are or what they're about. They're very secretive about this from their beginnings to their entire careers, and even into their disbandment. I mean, they're very secretive, and I kind of appreciate that. Is that weird?
I do too. It shows they don't get hung up in like all the fame and glory. They really are just making music because they have a passion for music, and they don't care if people even know their names or their faces. Like, I think that is pretty respectful.
Yeah, and they've contributed with so many clashing of genres as well too. Everything from not just the EDM, but R&B and disco and glam rock. So, I mean, they've kind of just done it all, and they've made a name for themselves, not only overseas, but in the States as well, too. So,
absolutely. And actually, their first worldwide hit was Da Funk, and it was released in 95. And then Around the World came out in 97 off of their debut album, Homework, which everyone knows around the world because it was like so iconic in the scene.
And it was in every movie and TV show ever made.
I mean, and that was like, the introduction of like loops and electronic processed vocals. But it certainly is in a lot of the music we hear today. So there's no doubt that Daft Punk influenced so much of modern music, mainstream modern music too.
Yeah. And I mean, like we've got our friend, Scott Lang that does Two Muffin Rabbit. I mean, he does all of his music on a loop, and there are a lot of artists out there that are well-known performing artists that's kind of how they make their own sounds.
Yeah, it's spectacular. We actually got the opportunity to see Scott perform live last weekend, which
I may have some video. I may have some video.
And I were like flipping out over finally seeing live music after like a year. But yeah, Scott is super talented, and I kept trying to like peek in to see what kind of equipment he had, because just the loops he was making, I mean, it's just, there really is an art to doing that. And it's really cool when someone can just get up on stage and do it live and just create all these rad loops and just improv. It's just really neat.
Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live!
Most recently, Daft Punk actually composed music for the movie Tron Legacy. That was in 2010. And that's what kind of really got them their name and their foothold here in the United States. In 2014, they actually won 5 Grammys. Five.
Including Album of the Year that year.
One award ceremony. Do you know how many people have done that in history? Not many. So that's kind of commendable.
Mm-hmm. And that was the album that had Get Lucky on it. The album was Random Access Memories, and Get Lucky was like one of the singles off that album.
And I mean, they've still been doing projects, and who knows? I mean, they still may continue to do some independent projects. Guys, obviously, they've been together for nearly 3 decades. I'm sure they've grown to be family at this point. Like, that's not even your friend. That's not your coworker. That's your family, in my opinion.
I agree. And they might not be Daft Punk anymore, but they might still collaborate in other ways. And both of them are not even 50 yet. They're still so young. So there's still so much opportunity for them. Fuck, if they want to just be done because they've already put out 30 years of innovation and like they're just fucking tired, then so be it. Let them rest.
There was a recent article in the New York Times when they actually did announce that they were done. One of their publicists confirmed it, and they declined any sort of comment about it after the fact, which in my opinion is kind of a baller way to go out. But
right, we're not breaking up, and then all of a sudden a month later you put up this cryptic dramatic video on YouTube.
yeah, it's
Like-
kind of baller, but I'm not gonna lie. But in this article, they actually did talk about how Daft Punk, they've really focused their entire career on not just making these samples or making these random sounds. They've really strived to keep the sounds very organic, which I think is something that EDM, more so newer EDM, is kind of lacking. And what I do like about this whole disbandment is there's no fucking conspiracy theories behind it. Nobody's like out there saying like, oh, well, I heard this and this is why they broke up. No, it's literally like these guys worked together for almost 3 fucking decades, and they're like, hey, you know what? We contributed our part. It's your turn.
It's just time to move on. They knew they hit their high note, so they thanked the crowd and they were gone.
All right, that's it for me. We're good, everybody.
But really, they gave us almost 30 years of so many great beats and melodies. And like, they've worked with Kanye West, Neil Rogers, Pharrell Williams, The Weeknd. Like, they've done so much, and they totally have earned their right to just. Did you get to watch the epilogue video, Candy?
I did watch the epilogue video. This is a 7-minute long video. For the first 3 minutes, there's literally just the two of them in a desert, very silent, very quiet, and you don't really see a whole lot going on. You just see one of them taking their jacket off and setting a timer for 60 seconds, and then shit blows up, and then that's it.
So the first few minutes of that video, they're walking into the desert together, but one of them is walking like at a pretty swift speed, and the other one is just kind of hanging back.
And then he stops.
And you can see the distance like growing between them, and all of a sudden, like after a few minutes, one of them is just super far ahead, and the other one is just laying back. And then, like you said, the one who was hanging back actually like took his suit off, like his robot suit, and turned around, and then the other one flipped the switch on his back, and then he just combusted in the middle of the desert. But it was definitely a very like Daft Punk way of them to go out. They've always just been kind of mysterious and secretive, and it doesn't really surprise me that the way that they leave the music industry as Daft Punk is kind of the same way.
It's kind of the same way they came in. I think they've earned a break. They've earned their right to just say, you know what?
Yeah, I think so too.
We're done. So that's about all we have for you today. So before we let you go, just like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that way you know when these things come out. Share it with your friends. Be nice.
Yeah.
Make good choices.
Only if you really want to.
I want people to be nice.
We're not gonna force you. Only if you really want to. I might cry a little bit. She might. She's kind of a baby.
I'm a total bitch. So once again, I'm Candy.
And I'm B.
And that was a Trend Kill Quickie.
Bye everyone. Thanks for hanging.
So many emotions.
Cry like a little bitch.
Filled with emotions.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Actually, I do have a little bit of tears on the insides of my eyes.
She's really crying.
I just have a lot of feelings.